For 30 years, Mike Lightfoot has been the head basketball coach at Bethel College, and there are few better at the craft. He has won nearly 800 games, 3 NAIA national titles, and 4 National Collegiate Christian College championships. But where Mike Lightfoot feels like he makes the greatest impact is with his young men off the floor. And the coach joins us now to talk about that. What makes a good coach?
Wow, there's probably a lot of coaches want to know that. I don't know really in our society today. There's a lot of stuff going on. Winning is important and really almost too important. I think building relationships with the people you work with is probably what makes a really good coach. Somebody that you can connect with and feel that they're impacting your life, and that's what I experienced as a player, and so that's what I try to do as a coach. Mm-hmm.
You talk about, with your players, making an impact where you live.
Yeah.
How do you teach that, and how have you seen it play out in their lives?
Well, I think that you teach every day. I think you teach by your walk and how you project yourself and how you handle situations. So I think everybody's watching. 18 to 22 is a very critical time in a young man's life, and so you have an opportunity to just share and talk and be transparent. I think when I make mistakes, I think that they need to know I made mistakes. And I really equate coaching as very similar to parenting. Some days you make good decisions and some days you make bad decisions, but you've got to be transparent. The players have to know that you love them and you care for them and you have really their best interest in mind at all times.
And Mike, what was it that kind of drew you to coaching? Was there a figure in your life growing up?
Yes. One, my high school coach had a big impact on me. I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but by the time I got into high school, Steve Longfellow was my high school coach, and I really enjoyed just learning from him and seeing the things that he did and the impact he had on me. And then when I went to college, I was really blessed by great coaches, Tom Firestone and Homer Drew, that really signified to say, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And I want to try to make an impact on people like they did. And so I've been really blessed with great men of God that have helped me.
You talk about men of God. You're in a unique conference in that every school in your conference is a Christian college.
Yes.
How is it that you can use basketball, and these other coaches in the conference do it too, to spread the gospel of Christ?
Well, I think that's our main responsibility. And I think that, again, you can do it through working with young people at camps. We have so many young campers that have been through the camp program, so we can share our faith and have daily devotionals, and our players share their testimony. But probably one of the biggest things that's been something that I've really enjoyed in my career is taking our guys overseas. Mm-hmm. I think that really, Chuck, has been a big part of making sure that our players understand that we have a unique culture here in the United States. We're pretty spoiled. And also understanding that there are a lot of lost people out there that we can have an impact. And basketball, any sports, can be a tremendous venue for people to show up and be a part of, wanting to watch the game and seeing how our players react.
And Mike, you made the analogy to parenting. Great analogy, by the way. So do you put your coach hat on the rack when you walk in the door? Or is it basically the same hat that you're wearing?
I think you want to have the same hat. I think that just like anything else, if you were trying to wear too many hats or you're trying to be somebody that you're not, kids see right through that. And you can, as parents, we all know that happens, where if you try to be fake or phony, they will find that out real quick. So you have to be real. And I think that's a challenge that every parent has, but even a coach, you have to be real. And again, I use that word transparent. They've got to know when you're hurting. They got to know when you're feeling great. They got to know when there's issues going on. They got to know when you're upset.
You've announced that this will be your final year as the head coach at Bethel College, a place that you've been for 30 years.
Yeah.
And you've also said you're not really sure what the next step of the journey is. Why do you feel the Lord is telling you that this is the time to move on?
Well, I think that in any journey, there's a time when God says, all right, you've run the race, and now there's times to do other things. And I really don't know what the other things are. That's going to be a step of faith. Right now, I'm focusing on on finishing strong at what I'm doing. But many times I think, Chuck, in this world of professional whatever we're doing, you see people start to coast or think about, you know, I'm just going to slide through here the last few years of my career. I don't want to be that person. I want to be a person who finishes strong. It ends on good terms. And so that's been my goal. But I think more than anything else has been God's leading to say, all right, you've done your share of time. You've put in a lot of time. You've enjoyed this ride. I've got more plans for you. And so I've got to follow those plans.
Let me ask you this, because I've been part of churches and different groups that they've had to ban basketball because of the intensity of the competitiveness and the close proximity. And so just watching a little of that footage there, you were in that LeSEA pretty good, I think.
That was.
How do you, not how do you, but how do you kind of temper, you know, the personal drive to win and that competitive spirit with the characteristics of Christ?
Yeah, I think that everybody that knows me knows that I'm very competitive. I don't like to lose at anything, and I think that that's a real challenge in our world of competition, especially sports where everybody sees it. But at the same time, I'm convinced that the model that I look at, the master coach, was Jesus. He was really the master coach. He took a team of 12. That's kind of what basketball coaches do. He tries to mold them and make them what they need to be able to do. And I think lots of times we forget how intense Jesus was in the things that he did. And you think about ultimately what he did by going to the cross for us. He was very intense in order to be able to do that. But I think you have to continue to focus in on what's important things are and why you do what you do. And if you do that, I think you can temper a lot of the emotions of coaching.
Well, Jesus was in the ear of the officials a lot, too, during his time.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, though, because there is a segment of society that says, you know, keeping score isn't all that important. And we see that a lot in youth sports. On the other hand, there are people that say, no, that competition is really important. And it's important to learn how to win and how to lose. Where do you fall in this?
Well, you know, I've had a lot of struggles with this, and I've talked to many people. I think that our culture is kind of out of whack. I think now we put all the emphasis on either winning, and we see a lot of young kids that are starting out so young, and they're burnt out by the time they're 12 years old because they've been going everywhere, every weekend, away, playing in tournaments and everything else. Then I've seen the other side where everybody gets a ribbon, no one ever loses, and then we have a culture that never experiences what it takes to sacrifice to be successful in life. So there has to be a balance in there. I think there's a lot of people that have went over the edge with winning at all costs, and kids are burnt out. And then there's another segment where it's saying, well, just let everybody win, and let's not keep score. Life's about keeping score sometimes, and there are winners and losers in life, and you learn from it. What you can learn from success and failure in life is just really kind of what athletics teaches.
So what have you learned?
I've learned that you have to enjoy the ride. I think many times in professions that we're all involved in, we get caught up in what's next, and we don't focus in on what's now. And I think the most important thing that we can do in any profession, but coaching, I've learned that relationships are the most important. Relationships with the people you work with, the assistant coaches, but more importantly, relationships with the people that you're working with. That's where, I think that's where you mark success and failure.
Saturday, February 4th, Bethel College will be honoring this gentleman between games of a game with their arch rival Grace. Between Jim Kessler and Mike Lightfoot, there's only going to be about 1 million wins on the floor that day. We encourage you to go out and see that basketball game and help salute the coach. If you want to contact Mike, the best way to do that is BethelCollegePilots.com, or you can link to that website through ours at harvest-tv.com. Coming up later, we've got your prayer requests, but first, Pastor Mark Lance has a message for us today. That's coming up next here on Harvest.